Welcome to the Better Business, Better Life podcast. Terry DuPont is the founder of DuPont Advisory Group, a group dedicated to providing comprehensive services to successful business owners, medical, and other professionals. Terry has top-of-the-table status in the prestigious International $1 Million Roundtable, placing him among the top 0.1% of all professional financial advisors in the world. Terry's philosophy is, I've learned that I grow and prosper more by focusing on the success of others, rather than fretting over my own. Terry is a certified financial professional with the Institute of Financial Wellness, an advisor for the Power of Zero Taxes in Retirement, chartered retirement plans specialist, certified wealth preservation planner, and certified philanthropic developer. On the podcast, Terry brings together experts in their field who have succeeded in building their business to share their secrets with you. And now, here's your host, Terry DuPont.
Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Better Business, Better Life, Building on Your Success. And I'm your host, Terry DuPont. This week, ladies and gentlemen, we have Emily Heck with us. Now, Emily is in the nonprofit, or is a nonprofit marketing consultant and the president of Evergreen Strategic Communications. Is that correct, Emily?
That is correct. Yep.
And after years of working in the nonprofit and higher education industries, Emily announced, or launched, I should say, Evergreen in 2019, with the goal of helping nonprofits, educational organizations, and religious institutions. Emily is a graduate of Butler University, go Bulldogs,
Yes.
of Business Administration from the University of Indiana. Emily, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
We're glad to have you. Emily, if you don't mind, can you tell me and our audience and our listeners about you and a little more about you and why you started your career?
Sure. Starting my career, that goes back quite a way. Usually people ask me how you start your business and not your career. So that's an interesting question. So as you said, I went to Butler University. I am a true Bulldog. And when I graduated, I was actually interning in the racing industry. I was interning for a driver in the IndyCar series. And I thought I was going to go into racing or the sports and entertainment industry, prepared to be at a racetrack every single weekend in the summer. And it just didn't work out that way, as things do. And so as I was searching for a job, as things do, a former professor connected me with the Boy Scouts of America in Indianapolis, Indiana. They were looking for a marketing and PR coordinator. And that's where I started my career at the Crossroads of America Council, BSA. And what's interesting is my degree is actually in public relations, not marketing. And now I do very little to zero public relations. I am primary marketing. And so over the years, my career has evolved. And really, when you think about it, marketing and PR are just so meshed together now that they're not as separate. But yeah, after the Boy Scouts, I was there for a while, really enjoyed it, got to travel the country, travel the state of Indiana and see some really cool things. I went back to Butler and moved into higher education marketing and actually fundraising marketing, learned about donor communications, solicitation, major gifts, and how to bring a marketing approach to that. But then in 2019, after the launch of a comprehensive campaign at Butler, I decided to go out on my own in November of 2019. So I started my business 3 months before the pandemic hit, which is a journey and adventure in itself. But I'm proud to say that later this year, we're coming on our 5-year anniversary. So we made it through that time.
Awesome. Yeah. I have to tell you, you brought it up, so I have to share something with you. I'm a huge race fan. And I don't care what it is. Any auto racing, especially IndyCar and F1 and motorcycling, motorcycles, et cetera. But anyway, and I've always spent a lot of time at the Speedway myself over the years. And I had the opportunity to ride around the Speedway a year in August with my subscriber of all time, Mario Andretti. And
very good.
Number one on my list, right?
Like, okay, I'm done. We're good. Checked it off.
I had to bring that up. So
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you always find a race fan around here. It doesn't
especially,
take long.
yeah,
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought up the Boy Scouts. I was having led the marketing department there at Crossroads of America, the council. How did that experience shape your understanding of marketing in the nonprofit sector? And what lessons did you carry forward to your role at Evergreen?
Yeah. When you're working in a nonprofit, especially in marketing, but really this carries over to any department, you are a department of one. And I was able to grow that department into two people, but 26 counties, I think we covered at the time. We had 36,000 members. I think there were like 4,000 volunteers. So we were a good sized council covering the middle third of the state of Indiana. And you learn how to wear a lot of hats. I was working on fundraising dinner at the same time that we were preparing for summer camp promotions, at the same time that we were preparing for fall recruitment. And so I think in any job, you have to shift a lot, but in nonprofit, you have to do that quite often. And even outside of your role, I remember many times when the end of the fundraising year came up, you're not working on marketing today, you are making phone calls to donors. And that you just have this like everyone chip in mentality, team mentality of we understand the greater good, we understand why this is important. And I think that has led me to be successful in my role at Evergreen because things are constantly shifting. And when nonprofits come to me and they say, we can't focus on marketing right now because we're dealing with this, I get it. Go do whatever you need to do, and then we can come back to marketing. I'm not beating down their door saying, we've got to get this done kind of thing. So that is probably the biggest lesson and really has not much to do with marketing in terms of marketing skill set. It's more about time management, project management, those kinds of things.
Hmm. Yeah, excellent, excellent. Hey, you brought up another. It was a little while ago, but I was an Order of the Arrow and an Eagle Scout.
Oh, okay. Very good. I had no idea.
It's been a couple months.
Yeah, just a few.
So
Very good.
back to Evergreen, you focus on helping nonprofits, educational institutions, and religious organizations grow their engagement through marketing. So, what inspired you to specialize in serving these particular sectors? Number one, and what unique challenges do you see in marketing for these organizations going?
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's interesting that I thought I was going to have a career in sports, entertainment, racing, because I've always had an interest or passion in helping others. I was always volunteering as a teen, whether it be through church or for school. And then I'm also just really interested in how organizations can make impacts on not only individuals and families, but a community as a whole. And so I think it was a natural progression for me to eventually move into a purpose-driven industry or a mission-driven industry. And it's something that I just really enjoy. And I think that shows through my work. I've worked with small businesses and I can tell you, I just don't love it very much. I've even worked with some major corporations. And again, I just don't love it as much as some of even my smallest nonprofits that I work with. I feel as if we are making an impact on the community, on individuals, on families. And so that is really why I chose that direction. But I would have to say at the same time, that's where my network was because I had come through nonprofit and higher education. And so when I started my business and I started reaching out to my network of, hey, I'm doing this, it was all nonprofit and education. And so that was just a natural transition for
So,
me.
it's a natural niche for you.
Yeah, it was just a natural niche. And I'm proud to share that I feel like I am very much an expert in my field of nonprofit marketing and even fundraising marketing. And so at this point in my career, I've worked hard to become the sought after individual in my area and in my networks for those kinds of things.
It seems, and I'm getting the feeling that it really inspires you.
It does. It does. Every time a new nonprofit pops up for whatever reason, I feel like I've become so ingrained in their mission of, man, they're just doing some really cool stuff. And I am that nerd that like looks at nonprofit websites and I'm like, what are they doing here? Where are their donor dollars going to? What are their volunteers doing? And there's just so many purpose-driven organizations that are doing great stuff.
Yeah. They're almost always a bigger reward than revenue.
Correct. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I just finished up a project with a Fort Wayne nonprofit, ironically, that it was a little messy and we had to come in and clean it up, freshen up their brand in order to in order to enhance their day-to-day marketing. And we're wrapping up that project right now. And it was just so exciting and rewarding to see that we were able to provide brand messaging for them for the first time in their decades long history and a new website. And they're just so happy and their clients are feeling more engaged and impacted. And so it's definitely more than just getting that check at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd like to ask you a little more about the fundraising. Could you elaborate on your experience in raising funds through online giving days? What strategies do you find most effective? And how do you see online fundraising evolving in the future? Did I pronounce that right? Online giving days? Is that,
Yes. Yep.
well, tell us about.
Right on. So
Yeah, yeah.
So online giving days for, in the simplest term that people recognize, that's Giving Tuesday. We've all heard of Giving Tuesday. I think last year, the year before, they came up on their 10th year anniversary of Giving Tuesday. And I started doing Giving Day in 2014, 2015, and it's really evolved a lot since then. Before it was, you would just have a couple gifts trickle in throughout the day, but now it's a full on marketing strategy, which is very different from old school fundraisers who want to be able to go to a donor and take them out to lunch and ask for that big gift and they get that check or that big gift. But online giving days are a lot of times a great way to engage first time donors, quick hits. So someone who can't write $1,000 check, maybe they can only get $50. And so online giving days really create a lot of excitement and energy around supporting your favorite organization. And we do that through email and web and social media. And those have really been popular in the higher education industry for quite a while. And they're catching hold in the nonprofit industry of other organizations. And so it's just, I see it, and I think in my marketing approach that I share with my clients is you have to see it first as a celebration day for your organization. We're going to celebrate XYZ nonprofit and the impact we make. And if you are so moved to celebrate with us, could you make a gift as well? And so we do that through all those marketing channels. And it's one of my favorite projects that I work with on clients.
What other strategies do you find effective in addition to the giving days?
Yes, within the giving days or just in
I-
general with fundraising.
In addition to, and how do you see some of that fundraising evolving in the future? Yeah.
Yeah, there have been a lot of articles recently, it seems since the beginning of the year, excuse me, on the shifts in the charitable industry and how people are giving their dollars, especially with the millennial generation and Gen Z are approach fundraising and charitable giving very differently than the generations ahead of them. And so it's really shaking up the fundraising industry because, as I said before, it's not a matter of I'm going to take this six-figure donor out to lunch a few times. And then at the end of it, he's going to hand me a check and on my way I go. And maybe we'll name a building after him or a program after him or something like that. Now it's quick hits and people want to give their dollars to several different organizations. So you are in competition with other organizations. Maybe someone wants to give to an animal organization and a food bank and some other type of organization. And so that $100 that they may have in their budget has now just been chopped up quite a bit. And so a lot of ways that we try to accomplish winning those dollars, if you want to use that as your term, is a lot of storytelling. We want to show people the impact of their dollars. Do we have a great story that we can tell through video, photos, maybe a podcast, on the website, through a solicitation letter, through a newsletter, whether that be email or print? And my approach primarily when it comes to fundraising is we are not making an ask without sharing a story of impact.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Yeah. You have to have the stories for the people.
Mhm.
You have to get them involved and engaged more than you probably had used to thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually interesting. I was reading something last fall that said the millennial and Gen Z generations, as they are coming of age and they have money to share with charitable organizations, they want to see their impact. And the example that was used was post a picture of your empty food pantry and say, $10 will feed a family of four for however many days. And that just clicks with donors so much better than give to our endowment. And it's just going to go into this big pot of money. And we really don't know we really can't trace how your dollar is impacting this. And yeah, it's really changed on how do we tell that story so that people can see my dollars went here.
Yeah, absolutely. They can see it in action. That's good stuff. Can you share a specific project or campaign that you are particularly proud of during your time at Evergreen, founded? And what were the key factors you think that contributed to the success of that specific project or campaign?
A lot of the work I do with nonprofits is actually getting down into the weeds to get their marketing set up before we can even get to the campaigns part. So I tell a lot of my prospective clients, we are your day to day operations, day to day marketing operations. And the clients that I am most proud of are the ones that we came in at the bare bones and we have built up a marketing department for them. One of them is the Center for Congregations here in Indiana, based headquartered in Indianapolis. They didn't have a marketing department. And I've been working with them since 2021. And we are slowly chipping away at them having a marketing department that is really sharing the center story, sharing congregational stories from around the state, and why congregations are important to communities going back to their mission. And it's not sexy in any stretch of the imagination. But I have this campaign and it's had huge results. And I have had those. I do have those. But it's really the clients that we were such at a bare bones state and we really needed to build up operationally marketing because there's a lot of factors. It's not just hiring a director of marketing or starting a social media. You really have to bring the entire organization along and the entire staff along. But in the nonprofit world, the board along as well. And so those are the clients that I'm most proud of.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Thank you.
Looking ahead, what do you see as the most significant challenges and opportunities for nonprofits, educational organizations, and religious institutions in the realm of marketing and communications? And part
Mhm.
two, how do you plan to address these with the Evergreen Strategic Communication?
Yeah. From nonprofits in general, and even I'm having these conversations with my faith-based organizations, my churches that I'm working with,
Mhm.
is the idea of fundraising and how to share their story so that they can connect with donors. And really what it comes down to is how do we cut through the clutter? It, I mean, it's tough. I actually suggested to one of my organizations the other day of maybe we should do a direct mail.
Mhm.
I haven't suggested direct mail in a decade, so that was very new, but email has become the new junk mail of the mailbox. And can we engage our audiences better with direct mail? And
Snail
so
mail,
I think it's just,
it's making a comeback because of that.
yeah, yeah.
And you stick out in the mailbox more often anymore because nobody's doing it.
You would not believe that, I don't know when it was, within the past year, I received a direct mail promotional piece from Facebook business, from Meta business. So I'm like, if Facebook is doing direct
Exactly.
mail, we
Exactly.
all should be shifting. So yeah, it's really figuring out how to cut through the clutter. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with one of my clients about paid ads and Google ads, social media ads. And 2024 is a unique year because it's an election year. And so there is considerable amount of clutter in the digital space and TV broadcast space and even in direct mail space. There is just with everyone trying to get out the vote and candidates trying to send their message out and things like that. An election year is very hard to you're fighting for the attention of your audience, and it's just more difficult. And so that is something that we're always trying. And I tell my clients a lot, it's an experiment. Marketing is not a perfect science. It's really not a science at all. It's an art form, I'd say. And so I can't say XYZ is going to bring in XYZ numbers because the landscape shifts quite a bit. And there's a lot of marketers out there that will say that, but it's just difficult to really estimate that.
And okay, I've got some tips for you. So hang on. Uh,
Yeah.
um, how do you define success, either personally or professionally or both?
I would love to say it's when I'm at inbox zero on Friday after. That is a successful week. I am the mother of a three-year-old and a 7-month-old. And so I define success when my brain is turned off in the evenings and I am engaging and I'm playing with them. And that doesn't always happen. Sometimes I've got client project on the brain all day and night, but that's just the nature of being a business owner. But success is really feeling fulfilled in my work throughout the day and then being able to close my laptop at the end of the day and close it and be done and walk out. And it's hard. You probably experience the same thing when you mentioned you work from home a lot. Work is always right there in the house.
Too
And
easy.
yeah, it's just too easy. And so I feel fulfilled at the end of the week when my inbox is at zero and when I have a clutter-free mind at the end of the week.
Okay. Good answer. I like that one. I don't think I've heard
Thank
that.
you. Okay.
Thank you. Well, is there anything that you'd like to share that we haven't talked about?
I think the biggest thing I like to share with nonprofits and potential clients is a lot of times they don't think they can do marketing well, or it's very expensive to do marketing well, but there are a lot of things that can be done from a organic or a free basis that can really move the needle. And I understand it takes time to figure those things out, but they are out there and they can really make a difference.
Awesome. With all your success, Emily, what would you say is your biggest challenge?
I think just managing it all as a small business owner. I also own another business, a property management business, and we renovate historic buildings. Right now, we're renovating a 150-year-old schoolhouse to turn into an event space. And just like anyone, there's a lot coming at me throughout the day, whether it be from clients with Evergreen or the old schoolhouse, or my daughter's preschool is contacting me saying she has a fever or what have you. And I think it's just managing it all and not getting washed over by it all. That is really the challenge. But I'm very intentional about setting boundaries and making those clear to my clients and the people I work with, which is not something I was good at before when I started my business. And I don't think any small business owner is very good at that in the beginning because you're just trying to make a buck and paying the water bill that month. And so it's gotten easier as I continue to grow.
Good deal. Good deal. I know we've got your contact information hit down at the bottom of the screen, but would you might want to share with our audience where's the best place or best avenue to get a hold of you or learn more about you?
Sure. So I invite anyone to visit our website, which is evergreenstrategic.org. For my nonprofit and education faith-based organizations, we do have a free resource library on there of how to do your marketing, or excuse me, how to do your social media, how to start an email campaign. It's available for free. Dive in there and find whatever resource you need. And then I also invite anyone to join me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I connect with a lot of people on there. And then also my email is emily@evergreenstrategic.org.
Awesome. Awesome. Family, it's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed visiting with you today. We'll have to have you back again sometime because you just did a wonderful job. But so we're going to sign off. So everybody out there, thanks for stopping in. This is Better Business, Better Life, building on your success. And I'm Terry DuPont. And but remember, folks, success isn't about what you accomplish in life. It's about what you inspire others to accomplish. Take care and see you next week.
This has been the Better Business, Better Life, Building on Your Success podcast. If you have questions about creating tax-free wealth and income, forward-looking tax mitigation, strategic risk mitigation, wealth preservation and legacy planning, and advanced financial management, go to DuPontAdvisory.com or email Terry@DuPontAdvisory.com.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.